This book, Profit First by Mike Michalowicz, changed my business, and even though it's a very, very big claim, it actually changed my life. In this video, I'm going to talk you through what I took away from Profit First and my journey to more profit in my business, greater take home, and a better life for me and my family. And I know you can do it too. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you know next time I upload a video about all things business money. I am Annette Ferguson, Chartered Accountant and Certified Profit First Professional, and I run Annette & Co, a UK-based accounting firm. I am an avid reader of business books. I love to read business books in my spare time. And the time I discovered Profit First, I had a newborn. My first child was only a matter of weeks old, and he did not sleep. In fact, for years, he did not sleep. And I used to, during night feeds, read books on my Kindle whilst I was trying to settle him back to sleep and soothe him. And one night, I discovered this book, Profit First. I downloaded it and I started reading. And I got a few chapters in. I realized this book was talking about me. Because, you see, the author, Mike Michalowicz, like me, had been running his business for many, many years, as I had. My business at that point was around 5 years old. Although we had clients and we had revenue coming in, what we didn't have was take-home money for me and profit. I had a team and they were doing some of the work, which of course helped me whilst I was trying to look after a newborn at the same time. And we had various bits of technology, various subscriptions, and it seemed like every time we signed up a new client, the costs would increase as well. So every time more money came in, it would disappear back out my business, and there really would be none left over for me and my family. I felt like I was working so hard trying to juggle running a business, looking after my team, and looking after a newborn baby. Yet, me personally, I was not being paid for that. Yes, the business was, but I was not being paid for any of that time, any of that blood, sweat, and tears, sometimes literally, that was going into running my business. So when I picked up that book and I started reading, it felt like I was reading the introduction to my first 5 years in business as well, because the author, Mike Michalowicz, goes through a similar story with his business. And that is how he developed and discovered this method of cash management, which we now call Profit First. So like I mentioned, I was reading this book and I was taken in with it. I just kept reading and reading and reading. And I knew as I was going through that this method of cash management, I needed to get into my business like yesterday. I decided to do just that. It made such logical sense because you see, what Profit First does is it basically takes the envelope system that you may have heard people like Dave Ramsey, for example, speak about, and it applies it into a business setting. So in personal finances, the envelope system says you take money from your bank account and you have various envelopes, and you put some in the rent envelope, and you put some in the utilities, and you put some in the food, you put some in the kids, and you have envelopes for each thing in your life. Well, what Profit First does is it takes this and it basically puts it into business. Instead of taking the cash out and having envelopes, however, you have separate bank accounts, or if you're using some of the challenger banks like Monzo and Starling, you have pots or spaces set up for these different purposes. So in business, you have a pot or a bank account for profit, for your own take home, you have one for tax, you have one for operating expenses, and you have a bank account for income. So the basic idea is that money comes into your income bank account, and then on a weekly or 2-weekly basis, you distribute those funds to the separate bank account so the money is there when you need it. When I read this, I thought, genius. Why has nobody taught me this before? Why didn't I learn this in my accounting training? Why are they not teaching this to us to teach clients what is happening here? So I went away and I started implementing Profit First. Now, I'm not going to say that from day one it was amazing, because it wasn't. I had a couple of false starts with it. Because you see, in the Profit First book, it describes the percentages that you should put into each of these buckets. The percentage of income that goes into tax and goes into operating expenses. But the problem is that I was basically overspending in my business. So I didn't have any spare for profit. And that's where I developed what I now call my money leaks exercise. And I will link to that video in the description to this one. Because what I actually had to do was I had to make sure that my costs were significantly more streamlined for my business. So if you are in that position, you can check out the Money Leaks video. That will be massively helpful for you. Because once I identified and eradicated money leaks in my business, that was when I really could start working the Profit First system. This was now about 4 months probably after reading the book that I'd got to this point. And I started separating money into those separate bank accounts. I started putting money for profit, for owner's pay, for tax, for operating expenses, and in my situation for VAT as well, because we were a VAT registered business. I had these different bank accounts set up and I was siphoning it off. And it got to the end of the next quarter. And lo and behold, I had money in my VAT bank account to pay my VAT. I wasn't scrambling around for the funds trying to work out how to do it. And lo and behold, I had money in my owner's pay bank account to pay myself. Something that I really hadn't done in the previous 5 years. And it was such an incredible weight off my shoulders, because I finally realized that I could make this work properly for me and my family. That actually we could have my business making us good money. Because you see, when my husband and I first got together, we had this plan that at some point he would be a stay-at-home dad and I would run my business and we would live off those funds. But in all honesty, when my first child was born, that seemed like such an insane pipe dream. I could never have figured out how on earth we would have got there. But the incredible thing is that 18 months after picking up this book, when I was pregnant with our second child, my husband did in fact finish his full-time job and become a full-time stay-at-home dad. And my business was able to pay us a good amount regularly so that we had the ability for him to do that. And that comes down to this book. It comes down to reading Profit First, eliminating the money leaks, and getting Profit First working in our business. Now, I've also taken this one step further, and I have developed a system now called Profit Planning. There is a book on Amazon. It is currently, as we were recording this, only in Kindle and is called The Profit Plan. And again, I will put a link to that in the description to this video. But that takes it a step further and it looks at planning out your business's finances for the future so you can achieve everything you want to in your business. It is the science behind making profit in your business. But fundamentally, the reason that this book changed my life is because it actually put a cash management system in place in my business. Because you see, Most of our businesses have transaction management systems. A transaction management system is something like Xero or QuickBooks, where you have the record of the financial transactions that are taking place. And that is absolutely required for financial success in a business. But the other piece that the vast majority of businesses do not have is a method for managing cash. That is exactly why when money comes in, it disappears out again, because there is no method of cash management. It is exactly why you get to tax time and you think, uh-oh, I have no money to pay my tax. How am I going to do this? So a cash management system is fundamental in a business as well as a transaction management system. And so what Profit First does is it installs a cash management system. Now, many people say, well, can Profit First work with Xero and QuickBooks? Yes, because they are two things that you're both needed. One transactional management and one cash management, and they work together. Yes, they are looking at numbers from the different sides, but they're both needed in a business for its financial health. So when I say that Profit First changed my life, I do really mean it. And Profit First still today is installed in my business. My child that was weeks old when I picked up the book, as we are recording this in April 2022, is now 7.5 years old. I've had Profit First in my business for a long time. Now, the bit that I haven't spoken about is by the time I got to the end of the book, I knew that I needed to support clients with this as well. And so I went on the journey to do exactly that. Now, if you're enjoying this video and getting value, do make sure that you give it a like. So the journey to supporting clients began round about the same time as I finished the book, where I got in touch with Profit First HQ and Mike Michalowicz, the author, and said, I need to help people do this. I can see already that this is so fundamental to businesses' financial health and financial success. I need to support my clients in this as well. And so I started going through the certification program. One of the things that you have to have in place to be certified is you have to have Profit First in your own business and working first. So I had to make sure that that was working for me, and we then are able to be certified and support clients to do exactly this as well. And how I know that Profit First is not a one-trick pony for me is that we have had hundreds of clients go through this process and get very similar results to me. So we've had clients that were paying themselves a wage but are able to pay themselves more and actually get a deposit for their first family home. And we've had clients in similar positions to me where they were paying themselves nothing and are now able to consistently pay themselves a known amount every single month. We've had all sorts in between where people have been able to live a better life as a result of having the cash management sorted in their business. So if you feel like cash management in your business needs a tune-up, I highly recommend picking up a copy of the Profit First book. You can do that in all good bookstores. I will also again put a link in the description to this video where you can get the core chapters in PDF. We have a download for that. So again, you can look in the description to the video for that resource as well, and you can get the core chapters straight to your inbox should you choose to read it that way. But I cannot recommend enough getting a copy of Profit First and starting to get that in place and implement it in your business. Getting this envelope method essentially installed in your business might just be one of the best things that you do for your business's financial health. And if you're struggling with all things accounting or indeed Profit First for your business, I would love to support you. Just drop me an email to yt@annetteandco.co.uk and let me know how we can help you. Thank you so much for watching. Hit the like button, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.